the growing uncertainty with respect to jobs across the globe, we had an eminent panel to discuss and deliberate on the way forward for the job creation opportunities in India. The panelists for this discussion included Montek Singh Ahluwalia, Deputy Chairman, Planning Commission, S. Ramadurai, Chairman, National Skill Development Agency, and Dr. Romesh Wadhwani, Founder Chairman, Wadhwani Foundation.
You know, a lot has been said about the rate of growth in this country and the unprecedented high economic growth that we saw in the 10th and the 11th plan. Unfortunately, that did not result in significant job creation. In fact, it actually was a period of jobless growth. I know we can quibble about those numbers and we can quibble about the data, but let me just throw some of that data for you to sort of mull over. In terms of the employment elasticity, which is the rate of change of employment marked to the GDP, it's actually been securely declining from 2000's 0.44% between 1999 to 2000, and in the period of 2004-2005, and then again 2009-2010, which were high growth periods, it has come down to about 0.01%, so which is virtually zero, which means we've been seeing a period of jobless growth. So with that context set, let me put my first question to you, Ms. Ahluwalia. What can we really expect now, because growth rates have come down significantly? We're not talking about 8%. We'll be lucky if we do 5.5%. 6% seems like a bit of a stretch at this point in time. If we come down to this level of growth, what happens then to the vision of job creation? What happens to the employment opportunity that we so desperately need for a country that talks about its demographic dividend and its demographic advantage?
There's absolutely no question that in order to achieve what we want to achieve and what we need, you've got to have a much more robust growth performance. Neither last year nor this year can be called good years, not just for India but for the whole global economy. So I think we need, if you're taking a medium-term view, my view is that the sort of perspective that we had in mind, that India can get to a stable, sustainable 8% growth rate, remains valid.
Okay.
The challenge is that in the first 2 years of the 12th plan, we've been knocked off that trajectory. Almost every other country has also been knocked off their trajectory, and so we must just get back to it. So there's a whole agenda, and we can discuss what that is. It's quite charming, actually, that when the NSS shows poverty has declined, everybody says that's rubbish. When the NSS seems to show that unemployment growth has decelerated, everybody treats this as a gospel truth. The same NSS data, by the way, there's an important point for your viewers, that if you compare, there are 3 data points only, 94, 2004, and 2011.
Right.
It is factually true that more jobs were created between 94 and 2004 than between 2004 and 2011.
Right.
However, the increase in the labor force in the first period was also much more. And as a result, in the first period, the rate of unemployment actually increased. In the second period, the labor force didn't increase that much. We think because a lot of people were in school. And the rate of unemployment actually declined. So the first point I want your viewers to note is that the high growth, it's totally false and possibly deliberately misleading to present the high growth period as a jobless growth period.
Mr. Wadhwani, let me ask you, because you're hoping that we are going to be able to skill enough people and that those skilled people will eventually find employment. So it's a bit of a chicken and egg kind of a situation. Are you feeling confident and optimistic that India is going to be able to deliver on the kind of job creation that we need to?
Major challenges ahead. So let me explain. So first of all, my definition of skilling is not just about giving people the talent that they need to become employable. It's about actually making sure that they get employed. In other words, there has to be connectivity between the employer community and the skilling community.
Absolutely.
Because otherwise it's like clapping with one hand. You skill someone, but they're still unemployed. What was the point of skilling them? The second observation is that, at least in this particular domain, India is the land of bogus statistics. The NSSO...
He's rubbished them as well.
Yeah, we all agree on that. We completely agree. And of course, the way the statistics are done would have been appropriate for 50 years ago. It is not appropriate for the world of today. They're very aggregate, they're very old, they're very inaccurate, they're done on very small point samples. There are multiple problems with the actual methodology that's being used. And then if you look at the so-called employment forecast for 10 years out, first of all, I have no idea how people come up with a forecast 10 years out, but let's assume that there was some magic there. The forecast is that the total workforce will go up from 475 million, organized and unorganized, to 585 million. That's 110 million net new jobs. Last 7 years, 15 million. Next 10 years, 110 million. What magic change is going to happen? Where are those jobs going to come from, right? And to really keep track of where those jobs are going to be and to make sure that there is good harmony and balance between job creation and skilling, we need a much better, much more real-time ability to collect labor data and jobs data. We don't have it today. The second big challenge is we need to take our skill development initiatives and translate them into an agenda of actionability. Because aspirational goals are all dandy, but if you can't actually execute them, that's why they fail.
Absolutely. Let me come to you now, Mr. Ramadharan. And the mandate of the NSDC is really to, for the first time, look at skilling India in an organized fashion. And I know it's been a successful beginning as far as the NSDC is concerned, but what are the big challenges that you're up against at this point in time?
Well, I think, see, the NSDC last year skilled about 400,000 people. This year we are scaling up to 10 lakhs, which is 2.5 times what we were used to doing. The number of partners whom we have funded, whether as grants, whether as debt funding or a portion of the equity, has increased substantially based on the sector gap, skill gap analysis we have done. We don't want everybody to be starting only on IT or IT-enabled services program. Second one we are focused on is to the reach, which is beyond the traditional 4 southern states. The most populous states must be brought into the whole skill building agenda. So if you don't do it in a UP or a Bihar or a Jharkhand or a Bengal or whatever it is, you're not going to get the kind of numbers. And the mobility of the people, which is a big problem, will create a lot of problems for us. So the sector skill gap studies plus the funding for the right partners and measuring them through the technology-based systems is going to be very, very critical.